So my name is Caleb Willis. I'm the head cross country coach here at Lake Wales High School. Thanks for taking some time to speak with me. Interviewing you, one, because you're my mentor for my class, but then also trying to learn a little bit more about what it's like being an athletic director versus a coach. So I think you're an ideal person to interview because of your experience in this field. I'm doing this interview as part of my internship course in my coaching program, which you know a lot about, so no need to go into more detail there. But I am obviously recording the interview just to help me remember responses accurately for my assignment. Not going to be using your real name in the assignment submission or anything like that. Obviously, my professor will watch this, but that's about it. And then with your permission, she would ask if like she loved the interview and she wanted to share it and things like that. But won't be shared with anybody outside of class at least. There's about 10 questions that we'll go through. Shouldn't take more than maybe 15, 20 minutes. You don't have to answer any of them, or if you want to skip one or whatever, it's totally up to you. If something happens where you got to take off, that's also fine. But I appreciate you taking the time. Any questions about the process?
No.
All pretty straightforward. And I have your consent to do all this and
Yes, sir.
everything. Cool. All right. So just to start off, tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, I know about you, but if I didn't know a little bit more about you, who are you? What do you do? How long you've been coaching? That kind of thing.
Um, well, actually, I began coaching when I was 12 years old, actually. I got to teach swimming lessons and be a swimming lesson aide, and just kind of like naturally had that instinct to coach and teach. And then started working at the YMCA when I was 16, and then quickly started refereeing. And then by the time I was a senior in college, I was supervising the fields and also teaching swimming lessons and lifeguarding,
Hmm.
and then got a scholarship through the YMCA to attend Aurora University, where I got a degree in physical education and also a YMCA director's degree. So I could have chose between going into the YMCA or going into education, and really felt the drive to go to education, and started as a PE teacher, and then spent about 22 years teaching PE at every single grade level. And then with some moves, I even was a para and a substitute, and taught credit recovery, and had the amazing opportunity to come here to Lake Wales years ago and start Bach Academy, and was the athletic director there and started their sports, and then got a master's in physical education, and then went on to get a master's in ed leadership, and just ready to move up and um, do something outside of just teaching, not
Hmm.
just teaching, but other than teaching. And this job opportunity came, and I've been here 4 years and have really grown, and love to be with the athletes
Yeah.
and the coaches.
I'm assuming you played sports, but what sports did you play? What
So
levels?
when like I said, I was very involved in swimming, but not competitively, but just being a swimmer. And then as I've gotten older, I did some triathlons. In high school, I actually played volleyball and softball, but then found out that I really was a runner,
Mhm.
and came to the realization that that was what I was better at and loved to do. And then didn't run in college because the university I got my scholarship for through the Y didn't have running, so I just ran on my own,
Mhm.
and lived in the Chicagoland area, saw the marathon on TV, and said that's what I want to do. And in 2 weeks, I run my 26th marathon.
Oh, so you're like right at 26.
Yeah,
Okay.
which one? And this is my 25th state,
So
because
that's a big one.
COVID was like messed my numbers up. But yeah,
Hmm.
this is a really important one. It gets
Where's
me
it at?
halfway through in South Carolina.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like, it's the last southern state that I have.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So when I say coach slash athletic director, they're similar in a lot of ways, but when
Mm-hmm.
that word pops in, what kind of pops into your head? Three words that describe what that should be.
What a coach should be.
Yeah.
Definitely a mentor to the athletes, and then as myself, again with the athletic director, I'm just serve the ability to serve others. Mentor, I guess it's the same thing. You are like a manager and organization of all the things that help your team get to where they want to be,
Mhm.
not just necessarily as winning, but just you know, allowing others to see what kind of good they can do within their sport and how that can help them. I guess a positive motivator
Yeah.
would be my other third thing, is that we're this there to encourage others to do their best in the sport that they do and in life.
Mhm. I think that kind of ties in, but every coach has their coaching philosophy. I'm sure you probably have one as well as being an athletic director, but all your coaching experience, what would you say yours is? If you had to try to
Again, I
simplify it.
just want athletes to see their potential as an athlete and as a person.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think, I mean, very simple.
Yeah, I think the best ones are. So obviously you're serving as my mentor this semester, which has been really helpful, and really enjoyable. But when you think about, and you've already talked about it a little bit, but what does it mean to you to be a mentor? Like when you view that as a relationship, what does that mean to you?
I actually think that working with you has been amazing because you were, I want to push people out of their comfort zone. I want to provide them support. I don't want to be the one like dictating what they do,
Hmm.
but show them they have that potential. And, you know, you started out very green and like, oh, I don't know if I don't want to run meets yet. I'm not ready. And I just kept pushing you to it. And now you've done it and you've just created a well-oiled machine on how things go, and believing in yourself and what you can do. And that's an if a coach can't believe in themselves, then how can they believe in their athletes?
Right.
So you know, you do have to have that foundation first, and it does come from other mentors. And actually just going into my faith, I just did devotion on wisdom, but not just how your intelligence and knowledge, but the wisdom you get from others,
Hmm.
and accepting it and looking for it and appreciating it.
I know my dad always sends it to the men in their family. He has like a proverb that prepares you, and we get like one a
Hmm.
week or something. So it's the same kind of idea with
Yeah.
wisdom and everything. And I remember when you told me the first time you should run a meet, I was like, bug eyes,
Yeah.
you must be out of your mind if you think that's going to happen. And I was just like, oh yeah, I got to start getting ready for the next one.
Yeah.
It's not even the
Yeah.
thing.
And it's so, I think, I just see when hosting a meets allows you to network with other people. It shows other teams, hey, this team is willing to step up and do more. And it shows that your team that you have, that you want them to run at home and be supported, because
Hmm.
there's something special about having a home,
Right.
any in match, football game, whatever it be. So taking on that responsibility.
Hmm. Have you in the past had experiences with mentoring other coaches?
Yes, I have, again, with my different master's degrees, I've had to work with other coaches with some of the programs that we did
Hmm.
for the degree. And then, well, even when I was just very young at the YMCA, not necessarily coaches, but the referees, I was their supervisor, and
Hmm.
I had to provide them with the skills to be better refs.
Yeah.
So it started at a very young age, and then moving up. And then as a teacher, I have been a mentor for college students that are coming in
Yeah.
as student teachers.
Yeah. I think also part of it to ask about is so you've had a lot of people you've mentored. Have you had somebody that's mentored you?
Yes, and I wrote that list yesterday. That was funny
Mhm.
for my devotion. So, you definitely start out with your parents and your family, and like, and I've talked about that a lot because of some transitions we're going through, and just have a good foundation with my family, and that doesn't always happen. My father-in-law is in education. My mother-in-law is in education. My mom is in education. So, lots with that. Also, my husband, he was great in supporting me and helping, you know, when he sees it this way, I see it this way. How can we see it together?
Mhm.
And then professionally and educationally, when I was a senior in high school, I was supposed to do an internship at the YMCA, and that kind of fell through with the person. So I moved into, somebody said, hey, why don't you do it with Miss Hoffmeyer? And she was a PE teacher, and that made me fall in love right there with
Yeah.
PE. Then went to college, had an amazing professor, Dr. C, pushed me to be my best. And then on to here with Miss Dunson, and then Mr. Moses.
Mhm.
And they all, you know, push me to do better. But also, again, and this is one of the things that I hope I do as a mentor. They gave me skills and ideas, but I had to do them for
Mhm.
myself, and then and continue to grow.
Yeah. Well, I think when we've had great mentors, we want to be similar or better than they were for our
Mhm.
next people. So like I think when I was in high school, I had Coach AJ and how much he
Mhm.
did for me, and then my college coach, how much he did for me, and then coming here trying to do that for kids. So
Mhm.
definitely. I think kind of shifting into kind of one of the things I really wanted to learn about a little more from your perspective as an athletic director. Had people, one or two people were like, "You think you don't want to be an athletic director?" I was like, "I really don't think so. I
Yeah.
like working with kids, but you know, life happens, so who
Right.
knows?" But I think there's probably some challenges that you face that as a coach I would not consider. And so that's something I kind of just wanted to ask you a little bit about. What are some of those things, first of all, that like as a coach you would never have thought about being an issue, but then as an athletic director you got to factor in?
So many. I really wish I talked about like writing down all the crazy thing. I don't want to say bad because I definitely have learned from them,
Yeah.
but like things you would never think of. But then I'm like, I don't want to write them down because sometimes I don't really want to remember that that stuff happened. But so much of it has to deal with the parent perspective and
Mm,
how the parent sees it, and even kind of the community and how you have to see what they're seeing because I am a parent too, and my kids have all played sports, and all three of them had a situation where I'm like, I don't agree with that, and I've had to approach it.
mm,
But then when you're the athletic director and other parents are um, like saying things about your coaches who you support and you want to make sure they're doing the right thing, and then when when these parents are saying they're not doing this, they're not doing that, um that's the hard part because
mm.
you want to support the parent and the athlete, but you want to support your coach too,
Right.
so you have to find that happy medium of um making both sides happy, if that's the right way
Mm,
to put it, balancing that out to make sure the program and the student and the coach can continue to get better and learn from the situation. Definitely lots of learning, no matter how old you can be coaching for 30 plus years and still learn how to
mm.
get better, or you can be coaching for 4 years and continue. It's
Yeah.
always a learning process. And just to so much uh, there's so much like paperwork and like with the state
Mm, mm.
rules that you have to follow that people don't understand that there is a step-by-step process to get where we're going.
Right.
And they just see the coach on the sideline on Friday night or at the course on a Saturday morning. That's what's seen when there's all the little
Hmm.
bubbles on the outside.
Yeah, for sure. I think something I never factored in enough until I became a coach, but even then I'm only worried about one thing when it comes to budget and budget constraints
Yes.
and making decisions. How do you try to manage that where every team is getting what they need, but some sports are going to naturally have more money than
Right.
others? How do you navigate that?
Well, I've been very lucky that Mr. Saran is amazing, our principal, and definitely would say that's probably the one of the pieces that I definitely take for granted here at Lake Wells High School is that um, we have more of a budget that we can work with rather than other places. But I have left it a lot up to, I mean, we have the budget to pay for your uniforms if we can every few years, or travel, and but if you want to do that extra, then it's, I
Yeah.
really put it in the place of the team that if you want to take your kids to nationals, again, I'm all for it. Let's go, let's
Hmm.
provide the opportunity, but you've got to find the ways
Right.
to budget. So we just did the whole process with the beach volleyball, and
I just saw them working
I
on
had to go through and again, all the processes that the district that we have to have and getting the bids and getting the right products. And you have to do 3 bids. You can't just get whoever you want. But I did have a local person that I reached out to. And I think connections, building
it.
relationships, networking, it helps across the board in everything.
Yeah.
Budgeting, it helps you save money.
Hmm.
It builds community. They want to then go, if they helped build it, they want to come watch it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think those are really big. Um, and the networking and the relationship building is important in every job, but I lived here for 4 years, moved away for 9. When I came back, I still had phone numbers and I could still call those
Right.
people.
Mhm.
Don't burn those bridges.
Yeah. I think something that you've always done a really good job of, but just kind of touching on it still, is trying to make sure that I know when I was in high school, at least, I sometimes felt like, hey, certain sports are going to get certain attention, others just aren't, and it was fine. Like we kind of did that and dealt with it. Running typically is one
Hmm.
of those. It doesn't always get the most attention, but I feel like you've done a good job. How do you make sure that they're all getting that same amount of support and attention and visibility and everything?
Yeah. Um, I think again, it's very natural for me that I enjoy so many things. I
Hmm.
said probably the only one, like I've learned a lot about lacrosse, but I never had any background in that.
Yeah.
But like I was a cross country runner, so I love that. I've taught swimming and coached a little bit of swimming. Of course, football, basketball, baseball, softball, those are all the sports that you're used to being around.
Hmm.
I love to go in the golf cart and watch. I think I just love to go watch.
Right.
So I naturally um, am there to cheer them on. And then they're student athletes. And so I enjoy supporting them with. I want the community to see it as well. So that's why I've made sure we do the athletes of the month, that we whenever I'm try to be at an event, I take a picture and send
Hmm.
it to be on social media. We try to make, then I have that regular 2 minutes at morning meeting that I always get to say something. I know we could do more there, but um, again, like then you get FFA and band and well, athletics is always
Hmm.
getting something, but it's also my responsibility to step up and say something.
Right.
I could easily just stay in the back, but it is important that the kids and the coaches get the recognition.
Hmm. What did you say is maybe one thing that, as an athletic director, right? I think part of my job is to make your life as easy as possible. So, what are some things that you wish coaches did or did differently to make that easier for you?
And I've tried, and some are better than others in every aspect. But and again, it's important to give you guys the tools to understand what you do need to do.
Hmm.
Like I can't just expect you to do something if you don't know it needs to be done. So I think the big piece is that beginning of the year or prior to when you to have that parent meeting, have the interest meetings with the student athletes, and share with them what they have to do with that paperwork and kind of take that on itself with the responsibility of, hey, my athletes can't participate unless they have this done and not put it on me to go. So, I
Right.
mean, you see they every day. So where I'm at the one going and finding them. Again, it takes more a work for me to train you and
Hmm.
provide you with those skills, but that would be the one thing of that initial paperwork and support to get that. And then I hope in the future we can make sure that our coaches know a little bit more on getting our kids opportunities um, after uh, after high school, would that be college or just continuing to do their sport in
Hmm.
an active lifestyle way.
Yeah.
So those would be kind of my two things.
Okay, cool. And then I think those are all really great and just kind of winding down here, but just one last thing. Um, as a someone who's newer, still less experienced, I'd say I don't want to ever feel like I'm less
Yeah.
experienced, but what would you say of maybe you've shared a lot, but maybe one or two, just one last little pieces of advice that you could share to help somebody
Well,
in.
continue what you're doing right here with this class and your professional development. It again helps you build relationships because you're networking with the people that are in your classes. You're making yourself better, and that's so important that coaches take that initiative to be better at their profession. I mean, coaching is a profession,
Mhm.
even if you are a community member that's coaching, there's still that piece of how to support the student athlete, not just on the field, but in the outside personal health, well-being, academically.
Mhm.
There's so many other pieces of a student athlete than just being on the competitive field.
Yeah.
And so this way of making yourself better so you can support them more is really important. So I think you're totally headed in the right direction and just keep going with it
Mhm.
because when you make yourself better, you're going to ultimately help your student athletes be
Right.
better.
Well, again, I really appreciate your time, been very generous and really good responses. I'm going to use it all to kind of help me reflect on what I'm
Mhm.
doing and for my assignment as well. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or you
No,
feel good?
I love this program.
Mhm.
I just listened to a podcast for athletic directors, educational something or other, but I can't. But with Jake Von Scharf, he
Mhm.
did our
Yeah.
he came and did some professional development, and that's again important and that I provide that for you. And he one of my former professors, I connected them, and my former professor actually is a cross country and track coach and at the university where my daughter is and
Mhm.
everything. And they just talked about the joy of coaching and just keep going so
Yeah.
that you get there too, or stay in that you
Mhm.
enjoy it.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it very much.